goal of this podcast is to help you break in and thrive in advertising. We do that every week by sharing the stories and advice of those rocking it on the other side. This week, we have a combo episode. It tells the stories of two successful women in marketing and two different roles within marketing, united by the same graduate degree. Emilie Vicchio is the Marketing and Brand Communication Director at Client Solutions Architect, which is a business-to-government agency. Emilie's career has been focused on helping business-to-government firms navigate their marketing, brand, and communication within the public sector. And Shannon Obrecht is her own boss. She owns her own design agency where she has dedicated her career to brand architecture and design. I love the dichotomy between these two. Despite two different disciplines within marketing, they both were a part of the University of Illinois' inaugural class for the Masters in Strategic Brand Communication program. And specifically, Emilie actually decided to pursue the SBC Masters despite having already received her MBA. So, in this episode, we discuss both their careers, their advice, why they decided to pursue the master's program, and if it will benefit you at all, because I'm enrolled in it and I will be starting classes in the fall. And you can find these two people on their LinkedIns, which we have listed in our bio in the show notes. So please feel free to reach out to both of them about their experiences or any other questions you might have. And you can follow us on Instagram at Breaking and Entering Pod. Now on with the show. This is the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast, and as usual, I'm your accomplice, Gino Schellenberger. Kick it, Mikey. All right. Shannon Obrecht and Emilie Vicchio, welcome to the Breaking and Entering Advertising Podcast. Did I say your names correctly?
You did. Yes, you did. Thank
you. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to talk with you both. I hope you're having a great day. We have Shannon, you're just outside of Chicago, and Emilie, you're visiting Cleveland. Is that correct?
That is correct, but I'm living in San Diego the rest of the time, other than this week.
That sounds nice. San Diego's beautiful. I've heard. I've never been.
It is. Yes.
What I think a good first question to kick us off is to tell us about yourselves. Where do you work and what's your job? So let's start with you, Emilie, actually, since you just left us off. What do you do for a living? How do you spend your time?
All right. So I'm in the B2G space, the business to government space. Professional services career has been most of my career has been professional services. I am the director of marketing, brand, and communication for Client Solution Architects. We're a federal contractor, and we provide professional services to usually the Navy, the Army, Marine Corps, other agencies in cybersecurity, IT management, and training. And in this role, I lead all of our comms, marketing, brand, so anything from social media, corporate communications, internal employee communications. On any given day, I'll be pitching to the media. I'll be building out a comms plan for maybe a new internal initiative for my organization, or I'll be scheduling a few social posts. So I'm a full stack marketer, and I really have a focus on brand and communication.
This sounds like legit stuff here. A little bit different from my usual conversations. So who are your clients then? So this is business to government.
This Correct. Is the B2G space. Yeah. So it's big. There's pockets of it around the United States that are very big in it. But yeah, we directly sell, to the Navy, and it's much different. It's very niche. There's a lot of opportunity there. I feel like it's lagging a lot in the marketing and the brand and all that as they go throughout. But it's very interesting, and it's a great connection to the mission, to like our soldiers on the ground and all that. There's a pride to it too in the work that we do. That really kind of keeps me coming back and maintaining inside the industry.
I gotcha. That's probably why you're in San Diego then, right?
Yes.
That's where your clients are.
Yes. Some of them. Yes.
Okay. We will break that down very, very soon. But Shannon, you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living. How do you spend your time?
Yeah, so I am actually, it sounds like on the complete opposite end of the spectrum from Emily. I am working as a freelance designer with small local businesses. So I went to U of I for undergrad and I graduated with a degree in graphic design. So after I graduated, I kind of bounced around and did a few different things. I worked for a few small agencies. I worked for Creative Circle for a few larger companies. I even worked at a wedding stationery studio. So I tried out a bunch of things. After that, I settled on my role as a graphic designer at a company that manufactures packaging for medical devices. So their whole team was in-house. So marketing and creative, all in-house. Then I worked my way up to be the brand manager until just last year. And now I am working as a freelance designer, helping small businesses create brand identities and websites.
I I need help with that. And I'm sure every company, every entrepreneur at some point in their life is going to need some help at the start with their branding and then throughout their entire life cycle. So that's really cool. This is going to be interesting how we're going to piece this together. We have two really interesting but different career paths, but you're both united because you are graduates of the Strategic Brand Communication program at the University of Illinois, which is a professional master's degree. So I want to get into that, and I want to get into these specific companies, how you broke into advertising, why you chose the master's degree that was at U of I, and how that helped you, and then advice really for aspiring advertisers out there in the world. So there's a lot to cover. And it's my job to direct the questions accordingly. So bear with me here as I piece together. So I want to start with Shannon. Let's go back to you here. At what point in your life, when you look back, did you say you want to be a graphic designer for a living?
So I think, it was more subconscious. When I was younger, I kind of was going out into the world and critiquing designs before I knew really what critiquing was. Um, so I think it was at that point where it's just kind of always been second nature to me to, look at designs and how to make them better. And, once I started taking classes in high school and college, I figured I could make those things.
Do you remember like some designs that you might have disagreed with at a younger age? Anything stick out to you?
I remember going out to dinner with my family and like seeing specifically a menu
Mm-hmm.
and just it being so jumbled together. And I'm
Yeah.
like, they could use some white space, they could use a little bit of composition here. And that was even before like I had gone to art school.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think a lot of the times we look at restaurants in like advertising and we examine the concepts is actually a really good exercise to come up with a restaurant. Like the menu, the branding, the concept itself is actually an exercise we see that a lot of undergraduate universities engage with. So from there, then where did you go to school? What did you decide to study?
Yeah, so I went to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and I graduated with a degree in graphic design.
Hmm.
And after graduation, I kind of bounced around and tried a few different things out. I worked at a few small agencies. I freelanced with Creative Circle, and I worked with a lot of larger companies too.
Tell us
I
about
worked,
Creative Circle because
yeah.
that's super important. And like, do you recommend that route? What is it? Lay that out for us.
Yeah, so it was super helpful for me when I was fresh out of school, just making those connections and, having them set me up based on my skills and my talents, and matching me with, the right kind of companies to do work for. And I was living outside in the suburbs, so I would take the train down to the city every day, which was where a lot more opportunities were. There's not quite as many graphic design opportunities out in the western suburbs of Chicago. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was super helpful to get kind of linked up like that.
So they match you with jobs as a freelancer. Are you part of that? Do some of the profits go to them? How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically like a temp agency,
Mhm.
right? So
Gotcha.
yeah, they kind of match you based on what you've done in the past and kind of what their clients are looking for.
So big lessons in your undergrad there, like you chose to study design, graphic design, and do you regret that? Is that the right path to go? What are some of those big lessons that you learned in undergrad? Did you have internships? Like, what were those formidable lessons?
Yeah, so my undergrad in graphic design was very art heavy. So my freshman year was all just fine art, and we applied to get into our specific programs at the end of freshman year, and I was accepted into graphic design. And from there on out, it was very, like I said, art heavy, which is one of the reasons why I decided to go back to school with the SBC program, is to kind of fill in some of those gaps that I missed in terms of brand strategy and marketing.
Ah, gotcha. And we'll get to that. I gotcha. So you did the creative circle, it was called, and they placed jobs for you. How long did you do that?
About a year.
About a year.
Yeah.
And did you get multiple different like jobs from it, or were you linked up with one main project for a long time for that entire year?
Well, personally, I was doing different things pretty much every week. I worked downtown at Blue Cross Blue Shield. I worked at a company that did marketing for NFL teams.
Cool.
I did, yeah. So it was a lot of different types of things, and so it was fun to see and kind of experiment and see what I was good at and what I like doing the best.
I like that. And is it still a thing today?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's really smart. I think that's a really great exercise. Did you ever feel like that you could get a full-time opportunity from that with some of those clients that you worked with? Did you see any future? Like, did you try to work any angles there?
I ended up taking a job actually closer to home, which is why I kind of stopped my relationship with Creative Circle.
Fair.
Yeah, it was pretty much just that it was closer to home and I didn't have a 2-hour commute every day.
Nothing wrong with that. I get that. So undergrad, graphic design, you enjoyed it, and then you went Creative Circle as soon as you graduated. Is that correct? Or did you have to? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which seems like a great opportunity to get a bunch of different experiences all in one. I don't know help me phrase this, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, kind of all rolled into one. I mean, you work with your one kind of, it's almost like an account manager, right? That knows you and they know the clients and they can like match you up based on your personalities.
But as you were going through this and you were getting these experiences, you realize maybe you're missing out on some larger skills, like the business skills, the marketing, the higher level concept skills, perhaps. Is that true?
Yeah. And you know what? At that point, I kind of wanted to settle down and settle down. I'm talking like it's a marriage. To get a career that I could really grow in. And, you know, that's what I did. I ended up settling on a graphic designer role at a company that manufactures packaging for medical devices. And I was there until, last year when I made the decision to switch to go back to freelance.
Gotcha. And where was the SBC program and all of this, the strategic brand communication program?
So that was Emilie and I were in the very first cohort. Yeah, we're number one.
But in your career though, at what point did you say, all right, I want to pursue this higher education?
So I was probably 5 years out of college, out of undergrad. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll pause there and I want to switch it back over to Emilie now. And Emilie, I want to hear about your journey and decision to study advertising, marketing in this realm of the world. Where were you at? What were you thinking? And why were you thinking it?
Yeah. So kind of like Shannon, I was always interested in the art. I've always been kind of artistic. I'd always create things more on the commercial side. Like I'd mimic advertisements in a way. And this is growing up. So I went to school. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I settled on a small private school in Western New York. I'm from Cleveland. And they had a great arts program. They're really known for their arts, fine arts. And then also their ceramic engineering. I wasn't going the engineering route. I was never really on the science side of things. I never flexed that muscle. So I started out with fine arts degree or working in this fine arts major program. And then also dabbling in some business classes. My dad really pushed the business classes side. And then they opened up a marketing degree. And I was like, holy shit, this is awesome. So then I popped over there. So I was like, okay. So I was in the School of Business. I got a BS in the marketing side. And then I had my fine arts on the arts side. So nice. I was doing marketing and then I was doing design. It was two completely different schools of thought. And it was kind of hard because like she said, the fine art program was very like critique. It wasn't how to curve out a line. It was more, what does this line represent and how does it impact the design? So it was like, I experienced the same thing with Shannon on going the design aspect of it on the graphic design. But yeah, I was in two schools. So I was like, okay, art, marketing, you can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. I did take an advertising class my junior year and absolutely fell in love with it, but they didn't offer it at my school because it was a small liberal arts college. Ended up graduating, got my MBA, kind of advanced that, and was right after school. So it's just a continuation. My dad pushed it. They invested in a house that was already in the area. So I had like free housing. I was like, okay, the economy wasn't good. And this was about 2008, 2007. Yep. So the economy started to go down. And then of course I graduated.
It's a common trend, right? Like when the economy's down, higher education increases. It's like you got nothing else to do. It's like hard to find a job. And we saw that in 2020 when I graduated undergrad. It's a real thing. So yeah, it's probably very similar to your situation. So you were like, okay, well, I got this house on campus or what was the school again?
Alfred University.
Your parents had this property. So you're like, why not? One, was it 1 or 2 years?
It was 2. It was kind of like the SBC. It was about 15 months, I think, or it's like a year and a half. And I was already through the program. I knew the dean, I knew everybody. So there's familiarity too.
And you're still in the school mode. You weren't ready you couldn't, was it that you were having issues finding jobs at the time or you knew the market was already kind of shit?
No, I didn't. No, I think my dad just encouraged, like, it's another year. Just get another degree. Just get another degree. Yeah. So I stayed. I was like, sure, why not? I didn't know. Here's more money.
And I think right there, like for our listeners, and I know we're not supposed to get into advice right now, but if there is a situation where the economy is bad and maybe you find a scholarship or you have the time and the resources, I know it's not that cost effective for some of these programs. The SBC is cost effective. Mm-hmm. So I do recommend, like, if you're struggling, like investing in yourself in your higher education doesn't hurt. And I kind of wish I did that as soon as I graduated in 2020, because now every year seems to get busier and busier. That's just my reflection on it. I got. But the MBA is different, I know.
Yes. So
because the MBA, I don't know about the MBA right after school. Just to clarify, right? Because they always say you need like 3 to 5 years of experience, and then you'll be able to utilize the MBA a little bit more effectively. Was that true in your case scenario?
Yeah, it just felt like it was all theoretical. Nothing was applicable yet. And I think a lot of master's degrees outside of maybe like social work or even teaching, I think there's an advantage to working for a few years, because I think I benefited a lot from the SBC program because I had years of experience. That really helped as we get into that. Like that was a big, because we had a few and I don't want to discourage people right out of school. Cause again, if the opportunity is there and you can get advanced learning and all the pieces are kind of lining up for you, there's nothing wrong with it. But some of our counterparts were in there and they just jumped right into it. And I felt they couldn't contribute as much. The peer relationships were a little bit different because they didn't have that experience to share with the group, the cohort group. So
no, it's a real thing. It's interesting, right? I know that for MBAs, it's very like, I don't know, it's like it's theoretical, but you kind of have to apply your learnings and you bring it back to work and like you take a lot of that project management. I don't think in a lot of other master's programs outside of MBAs is not as applicable.
Yeah. Even today, I mean, and also MBAs that's a whole different animal because MBAs also are dictated by where you get it, right? I mean, the whole reason to stop it's you need to get the big schools, right? The big business schools, and that can really accelerate your career. And depends on what your goals are. So I think that's like an off. I don't want to lump SBC and MBAs together because they're different. Um, but yeah.
But you did for now for
Mhm.
your story. We'll get into the difference soon.
Yeah.
But this is amazing because you have all that, like you have the ability, the experience to compare the two. So
Mhm.
I want to ask you too, because I'm pursuing the SBC program, what was different about the MBA? And we'll get to that. But from there, so you get your MBA early on after school, tough times in the economy. What
Yes.
happens after that? Do you get your dream job?
No. So I'm still waiting for that to come. So I go back to Cleveland. I do and during school too, I was doing a lot of like guerrilla marketing, which is awesome and fun. And I worked with some big brands and it was exciting. And then as I got more experience, then brands would reach out to me and say, hey, we have this event, we have this going on. Can you do this and this? And like report back. So I started to get into that brand ambassador, kind of that marketing and event side. And I really fell in love. I love talking to people. I'm such an extrovert. And then I got some gigs with the Cleveland Indians, the Guardians now, Ohio State. So I was kind of piecing stuff together. I was applying for advertising jobs. I didn't really understand my value yet, which is something that I think that comes with maturity or direction or mentorship. But I was trying to apply, but a lot of the agencies in Cleveland actually ended up shutting down. As I reflect back now, they don't even really exist anymore. So I couldn't get a job in like a full-time gig. And my best friend, she was visiting and she was from San Diego. She was living in San Diego. And I remember comparing the distance to Lake Erie to how close the ocean is to her. And she said, yeah, it's the same distance. We're standing in downtown Cleveland. So I asked to move on her couch. So my mom bought me a ticket. I packed up 2 suitcases, moved across the country, lived on her couch, got a job at a defense consulting firm. And this kind of started my career in the defense side, in the federal contracting side, which honestly, I knew nothing about. My brother's an Army veteran. At the time they saw, and this is a continual trend, but they saw on my degree that I had taken like an HTML class, in college, and I had like the art side. So they said, hey, can you build us a website and do this and this? So that was my real foray. And I didn't know what I was doing. I took a few classes, but come on, I was, fresh out of college. And I literally hand coded this HTML website that I'm absolutely embarrassed about, but you got to start somewhere. I did a few like brochures and all that. I was like, I could do this. I love this stuff. I was like gung ho, taking classes, like free classes out in California. And then I started doing consulting. So then I moved to the Navy consulting side. So I was directly working with the Navy. I did some program management. I worked on like submarine communication systems, helping them acquire like new technology. But then also I did communication briefings. So I put briefs together based on the program and the projects and feed up to admirals and stuff. So that was a really exciting time as we went. I started doing, I've done a lot of stuff. I started doing business process improvement. So SharePoint was a big one, and it was kind of front end. So I do layout and create pages and really develop these great workflows that helped, save the client money, which is always a good thing. But after all this, I really wanted to get back into marketing and brand, that creative side. And this is the same company. So they found me a job back in the in-house side, supporting the company, like with the website stuff. And I was doing press releases and I had no idea what I was doing. I think the first one took me like 10 hours and I was so embarrassed. It took me so long, and I was doing like recruiting. I learned a lot of the operations, like how a business operates, how all the pieces come together. As I went, and I did a lot of cultural development stuff. And this was in like 2012. And this is when companies would like, transparency behind an organization and inside of an organization is relatively new. And I was kind of at the cutting edge of that because Glassdoor had just come out. What you did behind closed doors was never known. People never talked about it. And so I remember Tony Heisch, the Zappos who passed away. He was like kind of like a mentor at large. I read all of his books and I really studied him. So I started to build like this cultural side and understanding, applying my marketing and graphic design to culture and building cultures internally, which I've done for a few years. And I created some really cool kind of like internal kind of campaigns and cultural stuff. And yeah, that's kind of like where I'm at now. I do internal stuff and then the marketing, and it's matured over time on what I develop.
Okay. So where in this story here did you decide that you needed this higher education again to get into the SBC, to pursue the SBC program after you already had an undergraduate degree and an MBA?
Yeah. So 2 undergraduate degrees. And copywriting. I need to be a better writer, when I wrote that press release. So I decided to get I'm education junkie. I pursued a certificate in copy editing. That was like a 12-month program. That was ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
But yes, I went, because I pieced things together and I learned things as I grew, but I only learned like pieces of things and I wasn't connecting the dots. And as our company grew and you were 80, 90 million, we needed to grow into 250 plus. They needed someone with experience. So I understood how things worked, but I understood why things work, but not why you did them. And like tactics, kind of tactically, but not that high level strategy. And I kind of look at like nutrition, like someone can tell you don't eat this or eat this and you'll have more energy. But if you don't understand the science behind it or the why behind it, you can't apply that. You can't question the status quo. Moving forward, you can't really make that big enough impact. So I had all these little pieces and I had these gaps in my puzzle and my perspective puzzle and marketing and brand, and I was missing things. And Coursera sent this random email and I happened to open it. I don't open that many emails. And it offered this strategic brand communication program. And I was like, oh my God, I sent it to my boss. I was like, hey boss, check this out. And at the time, I had a very supportive boss at the time. He said, this looks awesome. He's like, look into it. So that's what happened. I looked into it. I almost kind of I was like 25 grand. I was like, yeah. And then I kind of let it fall off. And then he came back 2 months later. He's like, hey, where's the program? Are you going into it? I said, sure. So I sent it off, applied, and that was it. And I joined the program. Best decision ever. I loved it.
Did they fund it?
They did. I was very fortunate.
That's nice.
Yes.
That's nice. Because a lot of the times, you can ask, I don't know about agency side, like where I'm working, but if you're on the corporate side or you're on like the client side, you should definitely ask for our listeners out there if they will fund these or a portion of it. So I'm really, that's incredible. And that's amazing that your boss was so supportive and they want to invest in you. It's a direct compliment to you and it's incredible. Shannon, did you have this similar situation or were you like, I'm going to fund this thing on my own?
Oh, so for the funding part, I found it. And I mean, yeah, it was very similar to Emilie where I was wanting to fill in the gaps to be better at my job. And, I was kind of evaluating an MBA versus some other programs, or if I should go back and do like something more specific to marketing. And I found this SBC program, which was a really nice mix between, the strategy, the creative, and the analytical without being too heavy on the numbers portion, which I am not left-brained enough to handle that. So yeah, I mean, I brought it to my boss and said, what do you think about this? And they were like, yeah, let's do it.
And they funded it?
They did. Yes. I'm very, very, very lucky.
That's the benefits of working for a company, a mid-sized company for a few years or a couple of years.
Yeah. You get you get some leverage in there. I like that. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I think both me and my bosses saw benefits pretty much right away. I mean, the courses we were taking, I would immediately implement like literally the next day, some of the strategies that we were learning.
So Emilie, I'm curious, just high level bullet points, like biggest differences between the MBA that you took. I know you're a different point in your life. I know years before versus the SBC program, and like knowing what you know now, like what are the big differences?
The MBA was it's finance, it's like accounting, I did quality information systems. It's very broad and it's more of like for basically running a company, like all the different pieces. While the SBC is very focused on advancing your focus area. So it was the best. If my MBA was like, it was an MBA with a focus on marketing, I think I'd be singing a different tune maybe,
Sure.
But it was too broad. It was too much stuff that I wasn't involved in yet. I didn't have any experience in. And I think there was an expectation that I had an experience in that. But I didn't. And I wasn't as engaged. It wasn't as, I mean, I did great. I did perfect on it, but it didn't have that appeal and that applicability too, like quality information systems, unless you're working in one currently at that time, you can't apply that. Like, at all, or enterprise resource planning. I don't know. Like some of the stuff you just learned just wasn't quite right there. Of course, the management, the global perspectives were great. Economics, obviously you can apply economics to day-to-day to the business, not day-to-day, but the understanding the economy. So, but yeah, I wish I had a better comparison, but I was in two different stages of my life and all that.
You both did the program. I'm enrolled in the fall. I guess who can best benefit from taking the SBC program? How is it helping you thrive in your current roles today? We'll start with you, Shannon.
And so as Emilie was talking, I was almost thinking like the SBC program would be a great foundation for before somebody would take an MBA program. Because we did have a lot of, or not a lot, but a few kind of general business courses, project management. We had a few financial classes, strategy, stuff like that. So that kind of thing, that like short overview gave me enough confidence to, now go out and start my own business. Whereas,
did you go and pursue an MBA after, or
I did not? No,
you didn't need to. You didn't need to. You started your own business,
right?
After, good.
I would not be here.
I'm good on double education. I respect everything you did, Emilie. I don't know if I could do that. Maybe down the line, but I'm more focused that I know that I love marketing. I love this realm here, specifically advertising, creative communications. And I know that I have some weak spots as well. So instead of going to a larger MBA program, more broad, why not pick a program that's more tailored, that's faster, a little bit more inexpensive, with a great network of alumni, with a great professors? To me, it was a no-brainer. And also there was a lot of master's programs out there that are 1 year, that might be even cheaper, but they're not as specifically tailored. So this to me seemed like the right balance of everything that I was looking for, knowing that I love advertising, creative communications. It was easy pick.
I will note, if you want to flash something and build like credibility or show how important or valuable you are, an MBA, great. If you want to kind of show it and flash it and wear it as like an emblem, but if you actually want to get in there and learn, make an impact, understand how your profession, how you work, and how you contribute to driving revenue at a company, or understanding how you can help a brand grow, then you need the SBC. But if you want it for show, then an MBA is great. Go for a big name school.
Yeah, but you need the big name school, because to me, in the way I've always viewed an MBA, it doesn't really matter unless you get the Northwesterns or Chicago Booths and like these big name schools where your large holding companies might be paying for that. And I don't know. To me, that was just, it never really spoke to me, because I knew I've always loved and I even want to position myself more as an expert in the creative communications and the strategic communications world. And I can flash the SBC program out to the world and let people know I do have a master's. And it's like, not, some people might not care, but like, as we're, my managers are looking to place people on projects, well, Gino can do strategy now. Like he understands this. So I think it could potentially help. But you guys did it, and you ladies did it. Like, you let me know if that's true.
I mean, I feel like even in terms of networking while you're in the program, an MBA attracts, a very specific type of student, whereas the SBC program has a much broader, like, I'm in graphic design.
Right.
We had,
you have
other
two
people
diverse
in media,
perspectives right here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So that helps grow your network so much. And I mean, we still talk to some of those people, or if you need a help, a hand, you can always reach out to them.
Gotcha. Is it going to be super hard? Am I going into something that's going to be really difficult? Am I not going to be able to sleep? You can be honest here. I'm like, am I gonna?
It's a lot of work. Yeah. I mean, if it wasn't, then you wouldn't feel accomplished.
Yeah. Okay. I look at it like, again, going to the gym. You put in what you get out. So you can sit there and sign off on assignments. And again, if you just want to have that SBC name, next to you, or if you actually want to learn, you got to put the time in. I was a weekend warrior. I don't know about you, Shannon, but I would, I do kind of my coursework during the week, or you'd have to do little assignments and chat and like kind of review, read some literature. And then I would spend my weekends, 10 plus hours a weekend. I was obsessed.
Hell yeah.
Getting the
I love
projects
that.
done.
I love that. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't care about sleeping. I don't have a weekend already. So why not more? And it's stuff that I'm passionate about. So I'm ready for that challenge. I might be saying that now, and we'll check in later.
You'll love it. You will love it if you have the passion for it.
Well, I don't have kids or anything like that.
Yeah, that helps.
I know, but even it's still manageable. It seems like there's some older people, like it is a diverse set of people that are doing it from different family perspectives too, which is why I'm also interested too. Like I want to be able to help out and put in some more work to help somebody else out who might not. And they all offer some learning experiences from their lives and their connections there. So it should be fun. And I am excited for it. So, final advice, I guess, looking at your careers, both of you, I just want to give you the mic. Whether or not that's the SBC program or MBA in Emily's case, or doing the creative circle, just in your careers, looking back now, what would you tell your 20-year-old selves, knowing what you know now? Emily, we'll start with you.
All right. I think I have two things. So, and I think it's depending on where you're at in your career. Obviously, starting off, the first advice wouldn't be helpful. But sitting down and kind of, there's so many options out there, right? There's so many things that you could possibly pursue, and understanding how you fit into that mix of what's out there and how your skills are best used is sitting down and kind of writing your successes that you've had and what you've done. Because first, understanding and defining that is a big kind of step as you kind of enter the world, or you're looking to career pivot or whatever you're trying to do. So I highly recommend like keeping up on your accomplishments. And I know everyone hates updating their resume, but keep those stories handy. Like just write out kind of what you did, and you start to look at it collectively. You can start to narrate kind of your own brand and understand what you are and what you've accomplished and how you've impacted things and where your strengths really lie. When it's on paper, it's really easy to see. And then my second advice is networking. Because even if you were very happy where you're at right now and everything's great, like I'm in my dream job, I love this, that is not permanent.
No,
you have
always
a long career ahead of you. So you need to network, even if you are in the perfect position and everything is ideal. It's not going to be that way. So network, get out there and network people in your industry, maybe people in your community, like find ways, because those peers that you're sitting next to today and you're talking with are going to be senior leaders at other companies or owning their own companies. So you want to grow with them. As you grow, they want you around and you want them around. So I was just telling my sister, who's about 10 years younger, to network. She's an attorney. I said, just get out there and network, join whatever, and just meet these people, because they are going to grow with you.
Go to where they're at. Absolutely.
Yes. If you don't want to, even if you're an introvert, just go once a month. Just go and say hi to a few people, collect your little close base of friends, and just stay connected.
When you go to a specific industry event, you're all talking about stuff that you're all passionate about. Like you chose this career path, so you should have some commonalities there. So I love that. Thank you, Emily. Shannon, how about you?
What I would tell myself 10 years ago, I think that it's really okay to make a mistake. And it took me a while, and I see a lot of people that I've mentored get really, really upset when things don't go exactly according to plan. And, I'm here to tell you that no matter how much planning you put in on a project, something is gonna go not the way you planned it.
Absolutely.
And that's okay. Like just taking those kind of things in stride. Everyone's been there, and making mistakes is okay.
I like this because it's something I read recently was it's really important to have a compass instead of a map. A detailed map with next steps. And that's something I've always done, was have a detailed map of how I want my career to go. But instead, you should take on the perspective of a compass. You have a North Star. You're going to go in that direction. Things can change along the way, but you're still going to get close to that goal, because you don't want to get upset when you're for me personally, my details don't go to plan.
Right.
So I think that also aligns pretty well into that story.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So both of you came from different perspectives, backgrounds, and, both of you are in different careers. You were united by the SBC program, the first program that was a couple years ago, maybe 5+. I don't want to give that out there, but
We graduated in 2018, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018.
Amazing. And I know the program has grown so much with Shahar,
Mhm.
and Rich Pyczynski, who I just recently spoke with on our last episode, which you guys should check it out. It really gets granular into what the program looks like, who it's for from their perspective. But I loved having you both on to talk about what the stages were before the program and after the program, how it helped you to connect your dots in your careers, and it helped you with your networking. And I don't know, do you feel more confident now? Does the long term look good? Does the future, is your North Star, the compass, is it pointing in the right direction now after the program?
Absolutely. I would say this was the perfect program for me.
You started your own business, right, Shannon?
I did, yeah.
And
Earlier this year, I started doing brand identity development and website design for small businesses.
And everybody needs that.
Yeah.
Everybody on the planet needs that. Every business needs that. So, and even people, I actually think you can make an argument.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever want to work
personal
together,
branding. Yeah.
hey, Shannon,
You know where to find me.
There's a business opportunity here where we can get the audience, we can help them establish their own personal brand, help them find their North Star, and create their own website. And that's a business opportunity. So don't forget that. Emilie, how about you? How's your North Star? And
it's good. It's good because especially it solidified what I enjoyed already. Again, it put that strategic lens over it all. But like currently I have I'm not exactly where I want to be. I'm on the right track. And like you said, I actually have 2 goals that are running at the same time. And I'd be okay in either direction. So I kind of make decisions now based on if those hit my goals or not. If it gets me closer to my goal, or if it doesn't, I kind of, shy away from those things. But yeah, SBC program was great. I loved honestly every minute of it. And just remember, it's not forever. So you're going to work some weekends, you're going to work some extra hours, and it's going to suck sometimes. When you turn in that final project, you're going to love it, and it's not permanent. So just remember that you can get through it.
Hey, I might call you up on a Sunday night at midnight asking for help. But
yes, I think your project's past due at that point, but you're close. Yes.
I'll I'll pray for an extension. I'll do whatever. I appreciate you both. Where can people find you? If they have any more questions about your journeys or the Creative Circle or the MBA versus SBC, Emilie, Shannon, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Emilie Vicchio.
Boom.
On LinkedIn. Reach
We'll
out.
have them leave a note saying they came from Breaking Entering. Shannon, how about
Absolutely.
you?
Yeah, LinkedIn works, or send me an email at shannon@so-designs.com.
What's the name of your business one more time?
It's just my name, Shannon Obrecht.
There you go. That's a good business name. All right. Thank you both so much for coming on. I really appreciate sharing your insights and stories, and I know it'll be a benefit to our audience.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you so much for listening to this entire episode of the Breaking and Entering Advertising podcast. If you like what you heard, it would mean a lot to us and help us grow and get better guests and better break-ins if you can go to Apple Podcasts and leave us 5 stars and a small review if you have the time. Be sure to connect with our guests if you like what they said by going to our Instagram at Breaking and Entering Pod. That's all one word, Breaking and Entering Pod on Instagram. We have links to their portfolios and their LinkedIn, and they want to connect, so do that. And thank yous. Thank you to Mikey Malarkey, our audio engineer, and Buchan Zhang, our creative director. Can't do it without you two, and a team from the University of Illinois. It's a student team from the agency called AdBuzz. They're a PR agency, and it's been a pleasure working with them. Thank you all so much, and we will see you next week with another amazing guest. Thank you for tuning in to Breaking and Entering. We want to be transparent with our valued listeners, so we'd like to disclose that this episode was made possible through a paid collaboration. The funds from this collaboration were used to produce this episode and contribute to the growth and enhancement of our show. At Breaking and Entering, we are committed to delivering high-quality content that informs, entertains, and engages our audience. We carefully select our partners to ensure that any sponsored or paid content aligns with the values and interests of our listeners. Rest assured that while this episode is a result of a paid collaboration, our opinions and creative control over the content remain independent and, of course, authentic. We prioritize providing valuable insights and experiences to our audience regardless of any paid partnerships. And we greatly appreciate the support of our sponsors and partners as they play a vital role in helping us bring content to your ears. If you have any questions about our partnerships or this disclosure, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at Geno, Geno, at breakenterpod.com. Thank you.